Hello everyone. Namaste to all gadgeted officers. Hello everyone. Welcome back to our weekly Science and Technology Current Affairs series. Your one-stop destination to stay updated and exam ready. In the last episode, part 2, we covered 18 key updates from Science and Technology from 23rd to 30th September 2025. And today in part 3, we will be completing the remaining 10 major updates to wrap up all remaining updates of the week. These updates are super useful for UPSC, BPSC, State PCS, SSC banking exam, covering both prelims and mains perspective along with one-liner recap for memory boost. So, my dear aspirants, tuned till the end because every update counts when it comes to smart revision. So, my dear aspirants, it's my request and suggestion also to note down important keywords and link them with your static syllabus. Let's how toppers build strong conceptual clarity. So let's dive into the next updates. Next update is new finless snake eel species discovered off Kolachal coast. So it is a new species of a snake, finless snake eel, named is Aptrictus Kanyakumari. Aptrictus Kanyakumari. It has been discovered off the Kolachal coast in Tamil Nadu's Kanyakumari district, and this discovery was made by researcher from the ICR National Bureau of Fish Genetic Resources and BFGR, and it is important for the species is golden yellow. Species is having golden yellow body and distinct black blotches on its head. So this finally highlight the reach yet this one is yet discovered under explored marine biodiversity in the Arabian Sea. So a new finless snake eel species discovered of in Kolachal coast in Tamil Nadu, Kanyakumari district. So the National Bureau of Fish Genetic Resources and BFGR Kochi under the Indian Council of Agriculture Research has recently identified a new species of a snake, finless snake eel. So named as Aptrictus Kanyakumari, this discovery marks that there is a presence of rich marine biodiversity in the Arabian Sea near Kolachal coast in Kanyakumari district. So the finding was published in the International Journal Geotoxa, and it honors the culture and geographical significance of Kanyakumari district. About the discovery and identification, so researchers collected how many specimens? Two specimens from the Kolachal coast during deep sea traveling at a depth of approximately 100 meters. So fishermen had previously reported catches of this snake eel, and the team conducted detailed morphological studies, vertebral counts, and DNA-based molecular analysis. So these confirmed the eel as a new species with the genus Aptrictus. About the distinctive morphological features, this snake has a characterized specific body proportion. Head length is 9.6 to 9.7% of total length. Tail length is 1.8 to 1.9% of total length, and body depth at gill opening ranges from 42.1% to 54.8% of total length. The teeth are conical and uniserial and jaws, and it has vomer. Its body displays a distinct golden yellow color with a pale white ventral head which is marked by yellow lines along the lower jaw. Three black blotches appear behind the eyes at the rictus and behind the origin of rictus. There is a conduction of mitochondrial CO1 gene analysis, which places Aptrictus Kanyakumari in a separate clade alongside its sympatric species, and that sympatric species is Aptrictus nangilna dionesis. Aptrictus nangilna dionesis. So the mean vertebral formula for the new species is 52 to 131, which is further distinguishing it from related species. What is the significance of this discovery? This significance marks the 16th new species discovered from the Indian coast by and NBFGR team. And the discovery marks the unexplored biodiversity of the urban sea, especially around the coastal region. So it put strains. It puts a stress. There is a need for systematic survey and taxonomic research to reveal this hidden type of marine biodiversity, and such efforts are also putting efforts to conservation of these marine resources. About the regional biodiversity and conservation, Kanyakumari district, as you all know, it is noted for its cultural, linguistic, historical, and geographical richness. So the marine biodiversity here remains underexplored. So this discovery brings attention to the economic importance of the region and encourage further scientific exploration to strengthen India's biodiversity catalog. About this researcher used the mitochondrial CO1 gene analysis, which is a molecular biological technology which is used to identify species, genetic diversity, and also it's a in evolutionary relationship, means past history. Through sequencing method is cytochrome C oxidase subunit 1 gene from an organism. It has been taken from, this gene is taken from, name of the gene is cytochrome C oxidase subunit I1 gene. So mitochondrial CO1 gene. It is taken from organism mitochondria to identify the species. So this method often called DNA barcoding, because DNA, this method bar coding, because it's totally depend on the high level of gene mutation rate for distinguishing species, while it conserves sequences for this method is able to conserve sequences within a species and make it useful for identifying individuals. So analysis involve techniques like PCR amplification, DNA sequencing, and comparison to public database. Next news is NASA ISRO in NISAR satellite sent first Earth images. NASA ISRO satellite name is NISAR satellite. So NASA ISRO synthetic aperture radar satellite. NASA ISRO synthetic aperture radar name is NISAR. So satellite has recently transmitted its inaugural images of Earth's surface. So these development marks a step at the joint mission prepares to enter full science operation later in 2025. So the data promises to improve disaster response, infrastructure monitoring, and agriculture management worldwide. About the NISAR mission, NASA ISRO synthetic aperture radar satellite. NISAR is collaborative Earth observing satellite mission by NASA and Indian Space Research Organization. So it is a collaboration between the Earth observing satellite mission by NASA and ISRO. So it was launched on 3rd July 2025, and it uses advanced L-band synthetic aperture radar technology. This satellite provides detailed radar images regardless of weather or daylight. This capability is crucial for continuous monitoring of Earth's dynamic surface. So these are the advantages of NISAR mission. First images, and what are the first images and their significance? The initial image include Mount Desert Island in Maine and parts of North Dakota. The radar data shows water bodies, forest, bare ground, and human-made structures with high precision. Objects as small as 5 meters are distinguishable. The image reveals detailed land use patterns such as wetlands, agriculture fields, and irrigation methods. So technological features of L-band SAR is NISAR L-band radar penetrates, it able to penetrate clouds and vegetation, allowing for consistent data collection. It can differentiate between various land covers such as low vegetation, trees, and built environments. So this precision enables accurate monitoring of ecosystem and human activities on the ground. Application in environmental monitoring. So the satellite data support tracking forest gain and loss, wetland health, and crop growth cycles globally. So it helps access environmental changes and human impact on natural resources. About decision maker can use this information for disaster management and sustainable land use planning. International collaboration and future prospect. NISAR exemplifies successful international cooperation between USA and India. So this partnership combines NASA radar technology and ISRO launch capabilities. Mission not only benefits Earth observation but also help planetary science and future space exploration efforts, including lunar and maritime mission. So topic NASA is NASA ISRO synthetic aperture radar NISAR mission, which is a joint collaboration between NASA USA and ISRO India, has successfully sent its first image of Earth from orbit. So it aims to map the entire planet in 12 days, providing important data on ecosystem changes, ice sheet dynamics, land deformation, and natural hazards. It is the first radar imaging satellite using dual frequency L-band S-band radars designed to monitor Earth's surface with unmatched accuracy. So prelims question is given. The NISAR satellite is a joint mission between which two space agency? What is the full form of NISAR? NISAR uses which frequency band for radar imaging? What is the main objective of NISAR mission? To map Earth's surface changes, including land deformation and ice sheet dynamics. Where was NISAR developed and assembled? So NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and ISRO's UR Rao Satellite Center. Mains question is given. Kindly practice mains question. One-liner recap. Mission name is NISAR. NASA ISRO synthetic aperture radar. Objective is to map Earth's surface and monitor land, vegetation, ice changes. Technology used is dual frequency radar, L-band, S-band. Collaboration NASA USA plus ISRO India. Significance: first of its kind radar imaging satellite for precise Earth observation. So it sent first Earth image successfully from orbit. Next news is Indian Navy Jal Prahar 2025 joint amphibious exercise. Indian Navy Jal Prahar 2025 joint amphibious exercise. Indian Navy successfully completed the biannual joint exercise name is Jal Prahar. Jal Prahar 2025 with the Indian Army. So it was held along India's eastern coast. The exercise aimed to strengthen inter-service cooperation and operation readiness in amphibious warfare. So it was conducted in two phases from 16 to 23rd September 2025. It demonstrated enhanced coordination and tactical proficiency between the naval and land forces. So overview of Jal Prahar 2025. Jal Prahar is a large-scale amphibious exercise conducted every 2 years by the Indian Navy and Army. 2025 edition focused on joint operational planning and execution along the eastern seaboard of India. So this exercise tested the ability of both forces, Indian Navy and Army, to conduct complex amphibious operation involving landing troops from sea to shore under realistic conditions. About harbor phase activities, so it took place at Visakhapatnam from 16 to 20 September 2025, involved induction and integration of army troops around INS Gharial, a Magar-class amphibious warfare vessel. Activities included on-board training, safety briefings, orientation session to familiarize soldiers with maritime life. Sports and interaction in events were also organized. About sea phase execution, it took place from 21 to 23rd September. The sea phase was conducted near Kakinanda. So this phase involved actual amphibious operations such as hard beaching of the ship, launching of landing craft, assault LCA vessel, and deployment of BMP amphibious infantry fighting vehicles. So this exercise validated standard operating procedures and joint training protocols to ensure smooth coordination during real combat scenarios. One liner recap is given. The topic is the Indian Navy Jal Prahar 2025, which is a joint amphibious exercise conducted Jal Prahar 2025, joint amphibious exercise aimed at testing interoperability and coordination between Indian Navy, Army, and Air Force. Exercise focused on amphibious assault operation, coastal defense, and rapid response to maritime and territorial threats. So it emphasizes on joint operational readiness and maritime security in the Indo-Pacific region. Now, question is given: what is the main objective of India's Navy Jal Prahar 2025 exercise to strengthen joint amphibious operation among forces? Mm, Next question is the Jal Prahar 2025 exercise involves which of the following? So all the three forces. Amphibious operation primarily involve which type of military activity? Land sea coordinated attacks. The Jal Prahar 2025 exercise strengthened India preparedness in which region? Indo-Pacific region. Now, next question is which of the following statement is correct? Just to pause and check all the answer is given. Now, mains question are given, so kindly practice. So, Jal Prahar 2025 joint amphibious exercise between all the forces, enhance coordination for amphibious and coastal defense operation. And it is a focus area is Indo-Pacific region, strengthen tri-service interoperability and maritime security preparedness. Next news is redneck Phalara spotted in Tamil Nadu, India. So redneck, it is a news from bird about bird. So redneck phalarope spotted in discovered in Tamil Nadu in India. So recent sighting of the redneck phalarope. Scientific name is Phalaropus labotus. What is the scientific name? Phalaropus labotus. At a bird sanctuary, the name of the bird sanctuary is Nanjarayan Bird Sanctuary. Nanjarayan Bird Sanctuary in Tamil Nadu has created a buzz and curiosity among ornithologists study of birds, wildlife enthusiasts. So no, it was known for its distinctive circular swimming pattern and vibrant breeding plumage. This Arctic breeding shorebird is a rare visitor to India. This Arctic breeding shorebird is a rare visitor to India, making this observation ecologically significant for India. So about the redneck phalarope taxonomy and distribution, its scientific name is Phalaropus labotus, and it is family is a Scalopacides sandpiper family. So it was spotted near Nanjayaran Bird Sanctuary in Tirupur district, Tamil Nadu. First spotted in September 2025. It is important because it give about the recorded about the particular inland sanctuary consists of this type of rare birds, and it is unusual for the bird to stop in such a location. About the word, this bird, red-necked phalarope, is a breeds in Arctic tundra region and and winters mainly in the open ocean. So it is known for its unique feeding behavior and of spinning rapidly in the water to stir up tiny invertebrates from the bottom. So it is a unique feeding habit. So why the sighting it is important. So it suggests favorable ecological condition in Indian wetlands. It highlights the migratory range extension and adaptability of the species, and it also emphasizes the need for conservation of wetlands in South India. So conservation status it about this word is a least a concern. Although globally stable habitat, there is a habitat degradation harm climate change. It because of this reason, it could impact long distance migratory birds like red-necked phalarope. So first recorded sighting at Nanjarayan Bird Sanctuary to Tamil Nadu, spins on water to catch prey, an uncommon feeding strategy. Female phalaropes are polyandrous. Males raises the chicks Winter at sea, unlike most shorebirds that remain on coastline, highlight the importance of Indian wetlands for global migratory biodiversity. Redneck phalarope recently spotted in Tamil Nadu belongs to which category of bird? It is a wading bird. So the red lake phalarope primarily breeds in which of the following region? Arctic and subarctic region. What is unique about red lake phalarope behavior? It exhibit reverse sexual dimorphism. Females are more colorful than males. Males incubate eggs. It is a unique characteristic. Males incubate eggs and females are more colorful, and it shows exhibit sexual dimorphism. This next question is the spotting of red-necked phalarope in Tamil Nadu highlight the ecological importance of coastal wetlands and lagoons. Which of the following statement is correct? So kindly pause the video and read all. Means question are given, my dear, we have discussed, my dear aspirants, we have discussed all the points, kindly practice. So species is redneck phalaropes, Phalaropus labiatus, location spotted in Tamil Nadu, India, breeding region in Arctic, subarctic zones, type is a migratory wading birds, it's so sexual dimorphism, female more colorful, highlights India's roles in global migratory birds corridors and wetland conservation. Next news is NVIDIA to invest $100 billion in OpenAI, a historic boost to artificial intelligence infra. So in September 2025, NVIDIA announced it to this company NVIDIA is announced it would invest up to $100 billion to in OpenAI to support the artificial intelligence laboratory's massive data center expansion. So this deal described as the biggest AI infrastructure deployment in history, which aims to secure open artificial intelligence access to the advanced computing power needed for its next generation artificial intelligence model and cement NVIDIA's position at the center of the artificial intelligence ecosystem. So announcement September 22nd, 2025, investment up to the $100 billion. Target is deployment of 10 gigawatt NVIDIA chips for AI compute expected in H2 2026. First deployment partnership model is strategic with hardware software co-optimization. NVIDIA role is to preferred compute networking partner. So, in a bold move that signals the intensive race in artificial intelligence infrastructure, NVIDIA has announced a massive $100 billion investment in the field of open artificial intelligence to build a next generation artificial intelligence compute networks. So, the agreement revealed on September 22nd, 2025, outlined a vision to deploy at least 10 gigabytes of NVIDIA powerful infrastructure that will support open artificial intelligence growing demand for artificial intelligence training and deployment at a scale. So NVIDIA OpenAI deal, what is it? So it begins with a letter of intent signed between NVIDIA and OpenAI, establishing a strategic partnership to create an AI factory of the future. At its core, it is a commitment to deploy 10 gigabyte of NVIDIA GPU and networking technology to build dedicated AI infrastructure for OpenAI. So it will enable OpenAI to scale its large language models, LLM like GPT and Codex far beyond their current capacity. So it also deals with co-optimization of software and hardware, meaning NVIDIA and OpenAI will jointly plan their development paths, improving efficiency and performance for future artificial intelligence model. So strategic importance of the deal is for NVIDIA, for OpenAI, and for the AI ecosystem. For NVIDIA, it continues to dominate the artificial intelligence chip market as a preferred compute and networking partner for OpenAI. NVIDIA not only sells more of its high-end chips, but also gains deeper integration into OpenAI long-term roadmap. It is a significance for NVIDIA. It also comes just days after NVIDIA pledged $5 billion to support companies like Intel, reinforcing its expansion reach across the semiconductor ecosystem. For OpenAI, the strategic importance is the partnership with provides OpenAI with long-term secure access to the computer power. So it needs to train next generation model. By investing in its own infrastructure, OpenAI strengthens its autonomy and ability to scale faster. For the artificial intelligence ecosystem, a 10 gigawatt Infrastructure implies million of GPU, massive energy use, and the emergence of artificial intelligence specific data centers as a national level infrastructure. So this level of investment will push other players like Google, Meta, Amazon, and startup to rethink their own artificial intelligence infrastructure strategy. So these are the strategic intelligence for NVIDIA, OpenAI, and for the AI ecosystem. Next news is Navya initiative empowers adolescent girls through vocational trainings. Navya initiative is a joint program by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and the Ministry of Women and Child Development to provide vocational training to adolescent girls aged 16 to 18. So it was launched in June 2025. Its goal is to empower adolescent girls with skill for emerging jobs and holistic development, covering aspects like hygiene, communication, and financial literacy. So this program is being piloted in selected districts with initial training focusing on roles like graphic designing, drone assembly, and smartphone repair. So, objective of this initiative, Navya initiative, is to say, equip young adolescent girls with both job-specific vocational skill and essential life skill to foster to improve their confidence, to provide them employment, and make them entrepreneur. Target audience is adolescent girls aged 16 to 18 with a minimum of class 10 classification qualification. So it is a joint effort by Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship MSDE and the Ministry of Women and Child Development MWCD. Adolescent girls aged between 16 to 18 years are qualified for this scheme, and it focuses on underdeserved and tribal region also with an initial target of 3,850 girls. Now, this program blends vocational skill with essential life skill to encourage employability, confidence, and entrepreneurship. Background in launch is Navya was launched in Sonbhadra, Uttar Pradesh. It targets girl with at least class 10 qualification, and this is a flagship scheme like Pradhan Mantri Kausal Vikas Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Vishwakarma Yojana. This scheme provides training in emerging and non-traditional sectors. So it try to bridge the gap between education and livelihoods. Training focus on sectors covered. Navya offers training in diverse fields such as digital marketing, cyber security, AI enabled services, graphic design, drone assembly, professional makeup artistry, CCTV, and solar photovoltaic installation. So it combines traditional knowledge with a modern skill. Holistic development modules is also given. This initiative includes supplementary modules on health, nutrition, hygiene, financial literacy, life skill, legal awareness. So these modules aim to empower girls beyond technical skills. So this holistic approach enhances socio-economic independence for adolescent girls. This scheme promoting employability and entrepreneurships. This initiative prioritizes safe and inclusive training environment with stipends and flexible schedules. It encourages girls to enter traditionally male-dominated fields. About the implementation and geographical reach, Navya is piloted in 27 aspiration and northeastern districts across 19 states. Nine districts in states like Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand, and Himachal Pradesh are part of the pilot. So these districts are identified by Niti Aayog for focused development. About the integration with Navya scheme, so in Navya aligned with Pradhan Mantri PMKVY 4.0, which promotes free short-term training and certification for youth. So together, this scheme strengthen vocational training and cultural preservation. Next news is new discovery in Western Ghat, lizard diversity. So recent discovery seen in the Western Ghat, which it includes 6 new species of Davido gecko, a new kangaroo lizard species called Agastho gamma H, and the rediscovery of critically endangered Cotiur de Checo. So this finding highlight the reason incredible biodiversity and underscore the importance of ongoing conservation efforts, as well the need for more research to understand its unique reptile diversity. So recent discovery in the Western Ghat includes 6 new species. How many species? 6 new species of Dravido gecko, which is a new kangaroo lizard species. And name of the new kangaroo lizard species is Agastogama age. And the rediscovery of another endangered species is Cotior de gecko. So for the first time, Bedom's cat Syrinx ristella bedomi has been recorded in the Aralam and Kotiur wildlife sanctuaries. The survey also reconfirmed the presence of critically endangered Kotiur de gecko species discovered after decades. So this discovery show the rich reptilian diversity and emphasize the importance of ongoing conservation efforts in this fragile ecosystem. Survey of and key finding is the survey was conducted 20 to 23 September, organized by Forest Department of Malabar Awareness Rescue Center for Wildlife, and it recorded 6 previously unreported agamid lizard, 4 skinks, and 5 geckos. So the Kotial day gecko was found in the Suramudi forest area of Kotiur Sanctuary. So this survey is the first. This survey is the first to document Bedom's cat's skink in the sanctuaries. About the Badom cat sink's species profile, Badom cat sink is a small reddish brown lizard with retractile claws and bicarinate scale. So it grows it inhabits in forested areas of Western Ghat at an altitude between 400 and 1,300 meters. So the species is rare and endemic to this region. It was named after British naturalist Richard Henry Badom. It has been little studied and now. So Kotiar de Jeco conservation status is its presence of Kotiar sanctuary confirms the sanctuary rule as a habitat for rare reptiles. So this Jeco rediscovery stresses the need for habitat protection, habitat conservation, and continuous monitoring. Importance of Western Ghat ecosystem. This finding from Aralam and Kotiar sanctuaries underline the reason unique reptilian fauna. About the capacity building and future plans, the survey included training session for forest staff on lizard identification and survey techniques. So herpetologist Dr. S.R. Ganesh and Mark Secretary Dr. Rosnath Ramesh led this workshop. They focuses on amphibians, including the endangered cotior tree frog to broaden understanding of the region lesser known fauna. So, MCQs given recently, scientists discovered new lizard species in which biodiversity hotspot of India, Western Ghats. The newly discovered lizard species in the Western Ghats belong to which genus is a Synapsis. The Western Ghats are recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site primarily for their endemic flora and fauna. The new discovered lizard species were identified. In the Western Ghat were identified using with scientific method. The scientific method is a phylogenetic studies. Molecular phylogenetic studies. The Western Ghat stretch from Gujarat to Kerala. Western Ghat extends from Gujarat to Kerala. One liner recap, scientists have covered the multiple new lizard species belong to the genus Synapsis in the Western Ghats, reinforcing the region status as one of the world's largest biodiversity hotspot. Next news is Prime Minister E-Drive scheme boost EV charging infrastructure. So Prime Minister E-Drive scheme is a E-Drive scheme to improve electrical vehicle charging infrastructure in India by providing subsidies for setting up public charging station under a larger 10,000 crore initiative. The scheme includes a specific allocation of 2,000 crore for charging infrastructure, which will use to support public charging station in urban and semi-urban areas, highways and strategic location. So the goal is to address range anxiety, accelerated electrical vehicle adoption, and build sustainable transportation ecosystem. So the initiative under the Pradhan Mantri E-Drive scheme aims to accelerate EV adoption by expanding accessible charging infrastructure. Subsidy structure and eligibility is the scheme offered a tied subsidy to promote electrical vehicle charging infrastructures. Government offices, hospital, education institutes, and residential colonies receive 100% subsidy on upstream infrastructure and charging equipment if they provide free public services. High traffic public locations such as airports, railway station, metro station, bus terminal, municipal parking lots, toll plaza are eligible for 80% subsidy on upstream infrastructure and 70% on charging equipment. Commercial spaces like shopping malls, market, highways, roadside facilities qualify for 80% subsidy on upstream infrastructure. Battery swapping station also receive 80% support on upstream cost. About the target location and prioritization, so it focuses the maximum impact on urban mobility and reduces range anxiety for EV users. So it is aims to cover major public transport hubs and commercial complexes to facilitate convenient access to charging electrical vehicle charging points. Implementation and monitoring is Bharat Heavy Electrical Limited has been designed as a project implementation agency is responsible for overseeing deployment, and it will be disbursed in two branches linked to compliance and performance benchmarks to ensure quality and timely execution. About the impact on EV ecosystem, it focuses on free public access and coverage of diverse location which improve user convenience. It also supports government's broader goal of reducing vehicular emission and promoting sustainable transport. So, one liner recap: Prime Minister Government will of India launch Prime Minister E-Drive scheme to enhance EV charging infrastructure by setting up to 50,000 new stations nationwide, promoting sustainable mobility and reducing carbon emission. The MCQ is given the PM e-drive scheme recently launched by the government of India is primarily related to electrical vehicle charging infrastructure. Which ministry is implementing the PM e-drive scheme? Ministry of Heavy Industries. Under the PM e-drive scheme, the government aims to install how many new EV charging stations across India? 50,000. The PM e-drive scheme support India's commitment under which global climate initiative, it is a Paris agreement. Which of the following is not a component of Pradhan Mantri e-drive scheme, promotion of hydrogen fuel cell vehicles? Mains question is given, can you practice? Now next note is dragonfly search. Dragonfly population is increasing. It signals wetland health in Delhi. So recent survey across Delhi Development Authority biodiversity parks reveal increase in dragonfly population and dam's fly population. Between September 25-27, 2025, a 54% increase was recorded compared to the previous year. 54% increase. The count rose from increase from 8,630 to 13,253 individuals. So it marks it inform about the improving wetland ecosystem and biodiversity resilience in urban Delhi. Survey overview and key findings. The survey covered 7 major biodiversity parks in Delhi. Kamla Nehru Reach led with 3,095 individual with 26 species. Kalindi followed with 3,632 individuals and 20 species. Aravali recorded 2,249 individuals across 16 species. Other parks included Yamuna Biodiversity Parks, Tughlakabad, then Tilpat Valley. So notably, there is a yellow-tailed Asai skimmer. Name is a Potmarcha congener. Scientific name was documented for the first time at Yamuna Biodiversity Park. Yellow-tailed Asai skimmer. Scientific name is Potamarcha congener was documented for the first time at Yamuna Biodiversity Park. About species diversity in population trends, species diversity increased notably in Aravali, Kalindi and Nilakoj. Kamla Nehru Reach and Tughlakabad showed slight increases. Tilpat Valley saw a minor decline. So Balanderglid was the most frequently sighted species across several paths. This jewel dominated at Tughlaqabad and Nilhaj. About ecological significance of dragonflies and Dempsey flies. So they are collectively known as odonates. They are collectively dragonfly and Dempsey flies are called odonates, which are important bioindicator for wetland health. So their larva stages require clean oxygen-rich water, marking their presence a marker of good water quality. So increase it is they are increasing. It means the water quality is good. Both larvae and adults consume large amount of mosquitoes, helping control vector population and reduce disease transmission risk. A single dragonfly can eat approximately 30 to 100 mosquitoes daily, which is important in flood-prone urban areas. What are the impact of dragonflies and Dempsey flies on of monsoon and urban wetland management? Many temporary water bodies, the 2025 monsoon created many temporary water bodies, facilitating odonate breeding, and dragonfly and Dempsey fly breeding. So these contrast with the erratic rains 2 years prior, which hindered breeding population growth. Improved rainfall patterns combined with dedicated biodiversity park management have enhanced ecosystem resilience. So the annual post-monsoon survey conducted with University of Delhi student help in monitoring wetland recovery and guides conservation efforts. So role of biodiversity parks in urban ecology. So they support different type of species and maintain ecological balance. The parks management by DDA incorporates scientific monitoring and community partnership. So increase ordinate population reflect the success of this initiative in restoring natural habitats. Main question are given, can you practice? The recent surge in dragonfly population in Delhi wetland indicates healthy wetlands ecosystem. Second question, dragonflies are considered bioindicator because their larvae are sensitive to water quality. They need good quality of water. Which are the following wetlands in Delhi is known for supporting rich dragonfly and MC fly diversity? Okhla Bird Sanctuary. Dragonfly belong to which order of insect? Odonata. The presence of diverse dragonfly species in an ecosystem primarily affect the balanced aquatic system. While in a recap, a notable increase in dragonfly population across Delhi's wetland indicates improving water quality and ecosystem balance, reaffirming their role as an important vital bioindicator of healthy aquatic habitats. Next news is a fiery magma link discovered between Santorini Valacones. So recent studies from June 2024 to February 2025 have revealed underground connection between two neighboring volcanoes near Greece Santorini Islands. An intense warm of earthquakes and surface changes have shown that the same magma surface feeds both the Santorini and Colombo volcanoes. So same magma source are the reason of both Santoni and Colombo volcanoes. So this insight improves understanding of volcanic behavior and risk management in the region. So seismic activity and surface changes. Over 1,200 earthquakes struck the Santoni region in early 2025. The tremors began in July 2024 with the island surface swelling by several centimeters. So this swelling indicated magma rising into Santoni shallow reservoir. The earthquake initially clustered near Santoni, then moved northeast. GPS data showed both Santoni and Colombo volcanoes deflated simultaneously. So this pattern suggested magma movement from a deeper reservoir feeding both volcanoes. About shared magma plumbing system, the study confirmed a shared magmatic plumbing system between Santoni and Colombo volcanoes. Magma flows from a deep crustal source first towards Santoni before moving away, causing both volcanoes to deflate. So this was the first observation of such a connection. So it challenges previous views of volcanoes acting independently and shows complex underground interaction. So historical and geological context is also there. Santoni catastrophic eruption around 1560 BC ended the Minoan civilization and caused earthquakes, tsunamis, and possibly by volcanic winter. Colombo last erupted in 1650 AD, both volcanoes remain active and create different types of risk to the region. The recent seismic swarm led Greece to declare a state of emergency due to fears of a volcanic eruption, though none no occurred. Implication for volcano monitoring: shared magma system complicate eruption prediction since activity in one volcano can affect its neighbors. So the discovery marks a need for real-time high-resolution monitoring volcanoes. So similar magmatic connection may exist in other volcanic regions such as Hawaii Island and Kamchatka. About broader impact on volcanology, so it suggests the volcanic system should be studied as interconnected networks rather than isolated entities. So it is very important to know about the for the volcanologist. Now, next news is India's Mahi Banswara Rajasthan Atomic Power Project. The foundation stone for Mahi Bansara Rajasthan Atomic Power Project MBRAPP was recently laid by Prime Minister. So this major nuclear power plant in Rajasthan marks a step in India's energy sector. So project is expected to improve clean energy production and support economic growth in the region in Rajasthan. So this scheme is an investment of around 42,000 crore. It will be one of India's largest nuclear power plant, and the plant will have four indigenous India's made 700 megawatt pressurized heavy water reactors with advanced safety measures. So these reactors are known as IPHWR 700 and have been designed by Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited (NPCIL). It aims to supply reliable baseload power to Rajasthan and its neighboring states. Fleet Mode Initiative. So, MBRAPP is a part of India's fleet mode approach to nuclear power. This strategy built 10 identical 700 megawatt reactors across the country. So, it also aligned with Atmanirbhar Mission, Bharat Mission by promoting self-reliance in nuclear technology. About joint development and collaboration, the project is developed by Anusakti Vidyut Nigam Aswini through a joint venture between CIL 51% and TPC Limited 49%. So this partnership combines financial strength, technical know-how, and project management skill. About economical and social impact, MBRAPP will generate clean and affordable electric supporting Rajasthan energy needs. It also simulates local business industries and overall economic growth. About renewable energy boost and North Solar Park, alongside the nuclear project, the Prime Minister inaugurated RSDCL North Solar Park in Pahalodi, Rajasthan. Pahalodi, Rajasthan. So this 925 megawatt solar power facilities, 735 megawatt developed by NTPC, and this solar park will add renewable energy capacity and reduce carbon emission. So it also create thousand of jobs and supports India's clean energy goals. So Prime Minister also inaugurated RSDCL Nok Solar Park in Pahalodi, Rajasthan. Renewable energy boost. Question is the Mani Banswara atomic power projects located in which state in Rajasthan? The Mahi Banswara atomic power project will located which type of reactor? It is a pressurized heavy water reactor. How many units are proposed in the Mahi Banswara atomic project? Is 4 units of 700 megawatt each. Which organization is implementing the Mahi Banswara atomic power project? NPCIL. The Mahi Banswara project contributes to which of the following national goals? Net zero carbon emission by 2070. So, mains question given. Kindly practice. One-liner recap. The Mahi Banswara atomic power project in Rajasthan developed by NPCIL will set 700 megawatt PHWR units, advancing India's goal of expanding indigenous nuclear capacity and achieving net zero carbon emission by 2070. So we have learned up to these updates. Kindly practice all the updates, and we will in next video we will learn the remaining updates. Kindly practice, be consistent, note down all the important updates, practice all pre and mains question. Thanks for watching.